Today, I'd like to answer the question that no one took me up on my offer. We mentioned four countries in the last video: China, Germany, and Japan, and the United States. And then we went over the five factors on those three of those countries. I thought someone might pick up and say, well, what about the United States? So I'm going to do that for you. So, is the United States food sufficient? Answer is yes. Is the United States energy sufficient? Yes, it is. It's a mix. We do import things, but for the most part, when we're talking about the base case, we're looking at what is the bottom line, and I'll explain it why. Then the next one is how is the demographics of America? We have the best in the West. It's not open for discussion. We have the best demographics in the West. Number four, technology. We have very good technology. And number five, are we easy to attack? We're incredibly difficult to attack. So when you look at America and you compare it to the base case, so now the question is what do we care, Danny? Why would we want to know the five base case factors? And here's the reason why. These five factors will help us extrapolate in the future how countries will make decisions for themselves. So if you have, let's say, a lot of energy but no food, Saudi Arabia, okay? And how do they negotiate given that they don't have the food but they have the oil, right? What do you do when you're Japan where you have high technology but not a lot of STEM workers? Do you cut a deal with America where we don't have a lot of STEM workers? Or do you cut a deal with China where they have a lot of STEM workers? All right, so you can see if the five factors are actually going to help us ascertain how countries may make decisions into a new deglobalized world. Now, let's take a step back and we'll say, there's no way one country is going to say, we're on our own, right? In the future, do the transition and then into the new world, we're on our own. At the least, I would say it's going to be regionalized, all right? So if you look at America, and then you say, let's look at Canada, okay? So Canada, are they food sufficient? Yes, they are. Are they energy sufficient? Yes, they are. They have good technology? Yes, they do. How's their demographics? The demographics aren't bad. They have allowed a lot of immigration, very rich people to come into Canada. So where their demographics are good, their housing prices are too high. But that is transitory. We're not going to pay attention to that. And then lastly, is Canada easy to attack? And the answer again is no. Let's look at Mexico. Is Mexico energy sufficient? Yes, it is. Different mix than ours. They're 58% gas, 23% alternatives, and the rest is oil. They do import gas and petroleum products from America, but for the most part, they're energy sufficient. Are they food sufficient? Yes, they are. When we're talking base case, we're talking calories and, carbs, right? They are food sufficient, just like we are. Doesn't mean we don't import things around the world, but we're food sufficient. Then, is Mexico easy to attack? No, it's incredibly difficult to attack. Do they have good technology? Aha. Now, we're looking at technology as a huge area. Are we talking about building chip? Or are we talking about having state-of-the-art manufacturing plant? Mexico is state-of-the-art manufacturing. I mean, the best in the world. They probably are around 1/10 the cost of Chinese manufacturing today. Okay? Yes, 1/10. Remember that. And then finally, what are their demographics? They got decent demographic. So when I look at it regionally and say, hey, what do we look like? You have to say that it's a very powerful three-country region that is already connected by, was NAFTA, now it's the USCMA or something like that, okay, whatever that is, right? Basically, we have, now, what I'll say to you is now pick another region, any region in the country, in the world, and have a base country, China, Germany, Japan, Malaysia, whoever you want. Pick your poison, right? And one, look at them as a country, but then turn around and look at them as a region, because no country is going to be able to do this on their own. How would they do it? What would they look like? So I've been known to be said, I've done 2 podcasts, one for the Lead Lag Report and one was, I think, The Last Splinter or something like that. And took a lot of grief in the comments because they said I'm just an old white man, pro-American and pro-dollar. It's not the case. I'm looking at the facts on the ground. What are the facts on the ground? Now, this transition period, as everyone knows who follows me, I think it's going to be 10 to 15 years. It's going to be highly challenging. I don't like to say negative because change, humans think are negative, period. Change is a negative thing. We don't like it, all right? But we're changing. There's nothing we can do, all right? So let's look at what the FT said today. Now, this is Behind the Wall, and this is the name of the article, How America First Will Transform the World in 2025. This article goes on for a while, right? But we're just going to go to the end where the guy puts together 5 possible narratives. You can stop and read this. These are very interesting. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of the things here, right? I am just saying here are narratives that other people are putting together for 2025 that we should be able to invest off of if we have a good grasp on why people are going to make their decision. So here's the new great power bargain that America could cut. That's one thing. Here's where we have war by accident. Trade wars can lead to war. So they talk about here are the things that could possibly happen in 2025. Then we have anarchy in a leaderless world. America was the leader. We're the ones who cut the grand bargain with the world at the end of World War II. We said we have 1,250 ships. We don't care what you do. You can ship anywhere in the world you want, but you can't mess with us with the Russians in Europe. Other than that, you're free to do what you want. And out of this grew 3 great export nations, China, Germany, and Japan. Now, everyone else exports everything, but we're saying great, right? What happens if we pull back and we're not a piece of the puzzle, or we're not even the puzzle anymore? Does the world continue to globalize without America? And what would that look like? Now, it's interesting in here they mention that, Europe could cut a deal with China. They have already told the Chinese, we will allow your cars in if you build your plants here, we own 51%, and we have a transfer of technology. Sound familiar? Exactly what the Chinese did to us 30, 40 years ago, all right? We're now doing it to the Chinese. Will the Europeans do that? I don't know. If we go in and tariff the Europeans and they say, we quit NATO and everything like that, maybe the Europeans go their own way. Then, of course, there is the scenario, the narrative that we succeed. We pull back from the world, we make everybody build in America, and everything goes hunky-dory, and we become, I don't know, what? Not a globalized world. So as we're sitting here at the end of 2024, and you're saying, how am I going to invest in 2025? I know, we're looking at the interest rates, looking at the money supply, looking at the PE ratios, sales, and all this other stuff. But really, we're in a geopolitical world now that is changing unbelievably from what we did for the last 80, 90 years. And this change is going to change our economic relationships, our political relationships, our military relationships, even our social relationships. And it's already changed our technology relationships. We are full bore, cutting people off, they're cutting us off. All this stuff has to be added up, okay? And so what we're going to try to do is come up with a scenario where we making our decision and looking at our counterparts and how they will make their decisions in relation to what we say that we will do or won't do. So, what do you think? Like and follow, and certainly let me know in the comments.